Oh, now we're going to go live. Hey, everybody. It's great to see you here for Boxes to Butterflies today. And we're going to have a great episode. And I'm looking forward to when I bring her up. But first, I want to give you a little bit of information about today's guest. Uh, Carole is a mindset coach who helps clients create a life they truly want. A life by design rather than continuing to react to a life by default. Her decades of corporate experience and living a false image of Superwoman led to a burnout that would become a tremendous gift. Today, she focuses on working with women over 60. Having achieved the sexagenarian decade herself, she has tapped into the knowledge, wisdom, and insights collected on her journey and helps women of her vintage into their own superpowers as they carve out their next chapter. And one of the beautiful things about having Carole on today, it's not only that I've been able to get to know her over the last few months, we're also going to be in the same Get Out of Her Damn Way summit next week. So now, hey, Kimberly, I'm going to bring up Carole. Hey, Carole.
Hello. Hi, how are
Are we having
you?
fun yet?
Yeah, and we've just got started.
And we just got started. I know. But that's kind of how it's been. We have this ability to just chat and go, and I love it.
I know, and where did the time go, right? It's like, "Oh my gosh."
I know. It's
So,
always
before I forget, because I don't wanna forget this, thank you so much, Susanna, for inviting me on this because I am absolutely loving what you're doing here with Boxes to Butterflies. I think it's absolutely it's a phenomenal message for everyone, and I'm it so resonates with me, so I'm deeply grateful to have been invited on. So thank you. Appreciate that.
oh, thank you for coming. I'm so happy that you got here. It's been great getting to know you, but now there's going to be a chance to get to know you a little bit better. So, what I'd really love is for you to kind of talk with everybody about your story and what got you to where you are right now.
Oh goodness. Okay. So I really started out as a coach. I'm from corporate. I worked in tech and it was super high pressure and like my intro says, I really I suffered burnout. And I always attributed it to the fact that I just don't play office politics well. It was one of those things that just kind of, okay, so I kind of have to put myself in a box and be something that I'm not in order to fit in. And that became such stress for me. And yet, when I tried to remove myself from it and got into some more creative projects, like I recorded a jazz CD, I returned to my first love, which was music. And, those things that as a kid was like, yeah, that's a fun hobby, but don't expect to make any money from it, honey. Right? There were the little mind monkeys were super busy when I did the jazz CD. But nevertheless, I felt like I need to have some sort of creative expression. And so I ultimately wound up going back into tech, experienced the same story. The narrative just repeated itself. And then I just got to a point where I went, okay, there's got to be something better here. It can't just be this that I love, but I'm gonna be broke, or this that I hate, and I'm gonna, fill up my retirement plan and retire to what? I'm just gonna be so fried, I'm not gonna be able to enjoy it. So
Right.
I started thinking, okay, what has to happen here? There has to be some sort of reinvention that needs to take place. And I really started looking at what do I need? And I needed creative expression. And I also needed and I knew that I was only gonna be given this one body, so I need to start taking care of that. because the stress, you know, it's that silent thing, right? You know, they say sitting is the new smoking. Stress is definitely the original, the original smoking when it comes to stress on the body and how it manifests itself. And and it came through for me through weight creep. So I kind of went about it in or came to the coaching world in a bit of a roundabout way in that I joined a weight release program. And although they're all the, you know, the do's and don'ts and what you can eat and what you can't eat, the most important piece to it was mindset. And that
Mhm.
was the one that worked for me. And it was especially important at that point because I had just turned 60. And that number 60 was a total mind bleep for me. I'm gonna be very mindful of your audience and not do my regular speak that you and I
Actually, you might be surprised at how many of them have the same regular speak.
well, it's okay. I'll be good. So so 60, the number just did a number on me, pretty much. So I thought, okay, that's where I went, okay, I gotta do something here because the stress, the weight creep, all of that stuff start and so I started with the weight. And the mindset piece was so important. And I achieved, I released 30 pounds in about 3 months. So that was, I saw results fairly quickly. And that's where I went, okay, it's not just about what I eat because that part was pretty much sustainable. But it was you know, the goal is here, but the belief system is here. And this is where the mind monkeys get busy is in between that, right? And between those two things. And so the mindset really raised my belief because, and I saw that and went, well, if I can do that, what else can I do? And it all of a sudden, this whole thing just opened up for me. And I thought, you know what? I know I can do work that I love, serve the world around me, and not lose my mind in the process. I know I can do that. And that's when I got into coaching. And I started looking at that. And that was really the culmination of everything that I love to do. I love to present. I love to teach. I love to coach. I love to learn. I mean, I love to dig in. And the only way I can learn it is if I turn around and teach it. If I apply it to my own life first, and then I teach it. Because if I haven't applied it to my own life first, then I'm just preaching. Yeah. That doesn't so that's my roundabout way of coming of explaining how I got to where I am. And then I decided, okay, you know what's really important is for me to be working with women in their 60s because I'm not the only one who's gone through this. And then when I started looking around for help, if you will, nobody was talking to us. So it's like it's like, "Okay, wait a minute. Do we just disappear? Is that what happens? You turn 60 and it's like, "Oh, well, I guess you're gonna retire now." Retire from what? Like, and what does retire mean? For me, it was I did a complete career shift. And the weirdest thing, and I wish I could share my screen because I showed my sister-in-law over the weekend. I said, "Have a look at this." I went to, I got my headshot done earlier this year, and I had an earlier one done in, 2020.
Mhm.
When I put those 2 side by side in 2020, it was just before I turned 60, and I showed them both to my sister-in-law, and I said, "Okay, where am I which one was done first?" And she pointed to the recent one. And I went, "That one, right?" I went, "No." So there's the power of doing the work of the mindset thing, right? And that felt so gratifying and validating for me that it told me that yes, it does manifest. So the power of the mind, right? Conscious
Exactly.
mind, subconscious mind, and it expresses through the body and our behavior, our actions, and everything else. I'm loving these comments, by the way. This is awesome. Glad this is resonating. So, yeah, so that's how I came to decide, yeah, I wanna work with women in their 60s because a lot of them are my friends and man, are such powerhouses, 6+ decades of wisdom, insights, knowledge, just waiting, just sitting there untapped, with and yes, 6+ decades as well of some programming that needs a little tweaking. It's as
Well,
simple as that.
and that's an age you just don't hear people talk about it that much.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Like I said, nobody's talking to us. They'll talk to, yeah, maybe the more mature women, and I'll or use my expression, women of a certain vintage and that kind of thing. But when you put that number 60, everybody kind of goes, what?
It's just kind of
So
like they still seem to think that is it's like that's the end.
yeah.
And I'm sitting there going,
Yeah.
it better not be because I'm 58
Trust me.
and I
Come
know
on in, the
exactly
water's fine.
well, and I already know what you're talking about in terms of your mindset is just there. You're happy. You feel better than you have in such a long time. And I can do the same thing. I can put photos from Christmas of 19 compared to today, and people will just go, well, obviously that one that's today is the younger one. I mean, there's a few other changes, but overall, it's just it really you do see the age between them. That's really what jumps out. One
Yeah.
looks so much
Yeah.
older than the other.
Yeah. So there's definitely a post or even like a workshop around it, I'm sure. Because when I saw that, when I saw the two pictures side by side, I went, okay, you don't realize it because it's the constant spaced repetition of doing those daily habits, those things that serve you. Right? And that's the thing. That's actually what I'm going to be talking about at the summit that you said you and I are both going to be sharing the virtual stage. I
Yep.
think that stacked habits are key to doing the work. That's what I call it. I call it doing the work because, and that's what most people are afraid of. They're afraid of change, right? They're afraid of doing the work.
Well, they're afraid of change, the work, but the fear, and that's when I talk at the summit. It's moving beyond boxes to shine, and
Right.
fear is always a piece of that. And it's always interesting to see how everybody talks about fear. So it's like how you would describe that fear, the fear of change, and how it is that somebody's afraid to change
Mhm.
versus the way I will talk about it in terms of the fear that we've basically walled ourselves in with in the box.
Right.
And we can't get out of the box because that fear knows us more intimately than sometimes we know ourselves. And
Well,
it knows
that's
buttons to
yeah.
push and what words to say and how to weave just enough truth within its translucent web of lies
I love
that
it. So
we
poetic.
we look out the box, we look through the cracks, and then we scurry back in because we see that little bit of truth and it scares us
Of
because
course. Of
it said
course.
that's it. So
Absolutely. Yeah,
that's
there was and I think there was a lot of that actually just turning
Mhm.
60. All of a sudden I was cloaked in this fear and but at the same time, the fear was acting like a security blanket for me, right? Because, well, this is what
Exactly.
happened and this is what happens and this is what my mother did or this is what so and so did and this is what then you cloak yourself with it because that's the familiarity of it. Right? This is what I know. So I'm just going to get used to this. But
Right.
and ultimately, here comes burnout, but in a different form.
And
So,
as you say, cloak, it's
yeah.
you use cloak and how it makes it like a comfortable companion.
Mhm.
And I'll talk about its seductive voice
Oh,
and
yeah.
how it's using those words. It's doing the exact same thing. It's kind of like we're talking the same language with different words. But I have a question for you though, because as we're talking
Sure.
about, and you talk about what happened at 60,
Yeah.
I'm just curious if you don't mind.
Mhm.
What was the difference? Was there a difference between 50 and 60?
Yes. Any other questions? No, I'm kidding.
Oh, it's as much as you want. I'm
You
not gonna
know,
push it.
if I felt way more confident at 50 than I did going into 60, and yet 61, I felt more confident at 61 than I did at 50. Does that make any sense? Like, 'cause I once I got over the number 60,
Mhm.
and then I realized, "Hang on a second," and sort of popped my head up like a little possum and going, "Wait a minute. Hey, there's all kinds of stuff I can do here." And, coming to that realization, then 61 was a party, right? And I was born in 61 too, so maybe there's something there, I don't know. So, anyways, but yeah, so the difference between 50 and 60. 50, still young enough to do all of that stuff as I was at 60, but with 60 and I'm gonna say 61, let's just move it over to 1. It was actually sweeter because 50, I still had some responsibilities to, my kids, certainly not as much as but there was that
Mhm.
tie, the caregiving and that kind of thing. Not certainly not to the extent of when they were super young, but nevertheless, there was still that, "Okay, I don't have the freedom to say to just pick up and go live in Europe," or whatever, right? It was
Right.
that kind of thing. There was still some dreams that had to be kind of, "All right, let's hang on a second." We're near retirement age or don't have enough, tucked away to do this, that, and everything else, or right, in that mindset. Whereas 61, uh, those things were well, I became a grandmother in that time. So
Right.
that was a big part of the party. That was just that part is oh my gosh, I love them so much that I lose my mind. I
As you
can't
should.
take it.
As you
I
should.
so that part was, there was that, but there was also that I don't know what it is. I just felt a certain freedom that I didn't feel, and it wasn't just financial. There was just a breathing room, I guess,
Mhm.
that I had more of. So that's the only way I can describe it. I'm not sure. It's probably clear as mud, isn't it?
Actually, it can be as clear as anybody wants it to be.
We'll leave it at that then.
Exactly. But it's like so you've when you are working with women,
Mhm.
how do you approach that? What are some of the things that you focus on when you get started talking with somebody?
I try to get a gauge as to on where their imagination is at, because that seems to be the first thing we ditch out of our higher faculties, right? I mean, we've got memory, perception, imagination, intuition, reason, all of those things, right? But imagination is the one that it seems to be the first one to that we ditch once we get out of childhood for for whatever reason, right? We start adulting, or even before we start adulting, we kind of our imagination gets tamped down. So I kind of try to get a read on where is that, because there's always something that's going to pop up about that book that they dreamed of writing when they were younger, or the what they wanted to do. So that's the one area where I was super grateful that I did take the time and record the jazz CD, because it was a dream. And I did it when my kids were young and when it made no sense at all to be doing it, but I did it anyway. And I'm so grateful that cuz it didn't kill me. I didn't go bankrupt and I got to do this creative thing. So that's where it the power of imagination and dreaming, that I get a gauge. I try to get a gauge on that first. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, question here.
I'm gonna let you take the question.
Oh, what do you think made you change how you felt at 60 versus 61? Really what the number 60 and what I'd attached to it. It was as simple as that. My perception and I did a number on myself. But then I realized and I looked back what happened with my mother. My mother at 60 had I mean, there's only 2 things that'll make you change. And one is emotional impact, where the universe just comes up and just clocks you upside the head and goes, listen, it's time. Or constant spaced repetition, those stacked habits that I was talking about, that all of a sudden you look back and go, oh, wow, huge results all of a sudden. Well, it's not all of a sudden. They've been leading up to that because of the actions and the activity. So my mother at 60 had a radical mastectomy followed by open heart surgery. This was the huge emotional impact that was a result of not so great choices in terms of her demeanor and how she was looking at life. But I took a lesson from that because she took that and went, okay, I get it, and started doing the work. And the change was phenomenal. So I think that's what it was, is that I was holding on to the old picture of my mom when I turned 60. Then by the time I reached 61, I realized, hang on a second. Hang on, Carole. Give her credit. She did the work. And so I started doing the work. And that's when I got into that whole weight release program and then started getting into the coaching and studying and everything else. So that's where I took a page out of my mom's book. Yeah. So that's I'm loving these comments. This is wonderful.
Sam's just amazing. I've loved getting to know her,
Oh,
and
awesome.
she's talked a lot about some of her story, and
Fantastic.
um, it's just she's got insights that are it's just beautiful the way that she can see some stuff,
Fantastic.
and you just kind of sit there and go, wow. But
Oh,
she's one of the ultimate phoenixes.
oh, I love it. I love it. Well, anyways, I'm grateful for that. And I hope my answer made sense. Yeah.
Well, there's Kelly's.
Yeah. The past can offer so many lessons that can lead to good. Yes. Yes, you're absolutely right. And they don't have to be your past lessons. You can take a page out of someone else's past lessons as well. That's pretty much what I did in that case. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like
So,
you had a great example of what to do, even though she had what she went through.
yeah.
To have that example, but like you said, even if you take a page out of somebody else's,
Mhm.
to have that example that you can take it in a very positive way, no matter what actually helped.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Yeah, because initially I wasn't, right? I just looked at the number and went, "Oh, wait." Right?
Right.
But instead, and then as I kept thinking about it, I'm going, "Well, hang on a second," because really, she's the one who introduced me to Dr. Joseph Murphy, The Power of the Subconscious Mind. So, that was one of the first books I picked up when I started doing the work, because that was what helped her tremendously, and it's a great book. I mean, if you've never read it, it's just phenomenal. That's a staple. Between that and Psycho-Cybernetics, as far as I'm concerned, that and Atomic Habits, that's all you need in your library. Off you go.
And this is something that she's always saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, your
And
past doesn't
it's
define your future. You do. Absolutely. Thank you, Sam. Beautiful. High five on that one. Beautiful. Yes.
and she does that. And she throws that out a lot,
Fantastic.
and it's so true.
Right?
Whereas I will make comments about basically live in the present so the past doesn't become the future.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's all of that. It's we have to be present, and that's you talk about mindset, and that's really a big aspect of that mindset.
Yeah. Me too, Sam. Sorry. The movie The Secret changed my entire life, Sam says. Absolutely. Me too. And that was my first introduction to Bob Proctor, and
Oh, that's
he's
right,
my
because you
hero.
do a lot with Proctor, don't you?
I am. I'm a Proctor Gallagher consultant. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Bob Proctor's my hero. He is.
Uh, Kelly wants the books again.
Oh, the books. So the first one that my mom read was The Power of the Subconscious Mind by Dr. Joseph Murphy. The other book that and these are the types of books I'll go over and over and over again. I just have them on repeat. The other one is Psycho-Cybernetics by Dr. Maxwell Maltz. And that's all about self-image, and it's super interesting because Dr. Maltz was a plastic surgeon. He wrote the book in 1960, and it stands the test of time today. And so he noticed, though, that in his practice, that even if when he would fix like a scar or whatever, that people all of a sudden felt so much better about themselves, but not always. And that's where it got him thinking, well, wait a minute, I just fixed what needed to be fixed, and this person is still not happy. So he started digging deeper. And the book that resulted is it's a masterpiece as far as I'm concerned. I get so much out of it. It's amazing. And Atomic Habits, James Clear, it's one of those bestsellers. It's one, probably the most recent one now of the three. Yeah, James Clear is he's awesome. He's awesome. I just love him. And I just found out that he's now going to be on Masterclass too, which is great. I've got Masterclass, so I can't wait to jump in. But I digress. Anyway. So,
I
oh
no
good.
worry about digress. I mean, Kelly's all over it.
That's awesome. So those were the three. Yeah, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, Psycho-Cybernetics, and Atomic Habits. Those are the three those are my top three. Yeah.
So basically what you're saying is start your library with those three.
Yeah, pretty
And
much.
then bring in Sam's The Secret for the fourth.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, that one, and I've got that one. I do actually. So, oh, and you mix in some Abraham Hicks in there, and there's a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my goodness.
I think
Yes, and
The Secret
actually,
is one I'm gonna have to catch up to.
Sam brings up a good point that she said, Kelly Wagner, when I first watched it, I totally thought it was woo-woo nonsense. This is The Secret. Then I figured, what the heck? Let's give it a shot. And it was best decision I've ever made for sure. Because and that's what I liked. That's why I was so impressed with Bob Proctor, because he talked about it after he did The Secret. And he said, everybody talks about the law of attraction, but what's more important is the law of vibration. Right? If you're vibrating down here, but you want all of this stuff and you think you're going to be attracting it, no, there's a disconnect. Your vibration has to be in line. So that's where that was the aha for me. And then when I went back to have a look at The Secret again, it was like, okay, now I get it. That's how you connect the dots. Yeah.
So
Anywho.
I'm listening to Jenny saying that Nick's out there somewheres. So in terms of my closest besties, Nick is one of them.
Awesome.
It's like, and it's like Nick, Sam, well, almost everybody on this that's been here and commented already. They're just
I'm loving these
amazing
comments.
people. Well,
Beautiful.
and they're filled with those amazing comments. It's what I
Amazing.
love about them when they show up.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. I'm so glad.
You're
I'd
gonna
be
have to
happy
do
to,
more
Sam.
often
Yes.
now because they've met you, and
That's awesome.
you're gonna have to find that way to spend a little bit more time on LinkedIn over Facebook.
I think I am going to have to now. Yes, absolutely. I have been getting back into LinkedIn. Yes. Yes. So this is fantastic. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's really where the whole, 60 thing happened and all of this. And then all of a sudden it was like all these pieces, things that I had been reading over the years finally connected. The dots
Right.
finally got connected. So I'd seen The Secret long before, and I'd read a bunch of other books before that. And there was, and then, put the book aside. No, that's reading, but it wasn't learning. So learning was when I went back over the book and go, "Oh, how did I miss this the first time? I wasn't ready to hear it the first time."
Well, I like that. You say reading versus learning.
Learning. Yeah. Yeah. Because if you read through a book once, you might remember, I don't know, 10% of it. This is not a scientific study here. But I find that when I go back over a book over and over and over again, there'll be so many passages. It happens all the time. I read through and go, how did I miss that? I wasn't ready to hear that the first time or the second time. You get into different spaces or different places in your life so that when you are reading it, you whatever you need to see at a particular point in your life will always be presented in front of you if you're open to the signs. Simple as that.
And when you talk about that, it's very similar to whether it's a movie or a show of some type,
Mhm.
a book that you read
Yeah.
over and over,
Yeah.
you always see something different. You pull something different from it. It's like if we were to sit down, if Sam said, "Okay, we're gonna watch The Secret this week, and then next week, and the week after
Yeah.
that,"
You get
you
3
know
different.
pull three different things, three
Yeah.
different key points at least from each of
Absolutely.
those. And
Absolutely.
sometimes, and by the third time around, you just go, "How did I miss that?"
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and even, and I did a live this morning on Happy Healthy Women, and, I this was the first time I actually went for like, went off the cuff, because normally I like to have my be organized, have some notes, and, know where I'm going with the point, and this time it was because I just got back from, my sister's wake and her funeral and that kinda thing, and, of course,
Right.
there was a lot of, meeting up with cousins and that kind of thing. And there were things that kept coming back up, and they were, life is fragile, life is precious, life is a gift, right? That comes up over and over again. And of course, and they're not cliches, it's true. However, it had me thinking that fragile, what do we do with a box that has a label fragile on the side of it? Whoever's handling that box is going to be super careful. They're not going to throw it around. They're going to be really protective of it. So is that what we do sometimes with our own lives? Are we
Well
treating it like it's so fragile that we don't wanna take the china out during the week?
and what if it's mislabeled?
Yeah. Yeah.
So everybody's walking around with those kid gloves, being careful with something that actually it's mislabeled, and what they're doing is making it more difficult and not making it better.
You just gave me goosebumps. Seriously, like, right? I mean, thank you for that, and it's true, right? And of course, I wasn't even thinking the label on the box. Here we are talking boxes of butterflies. So, right?
It always ends up with that. If anybody who's around me, it's always gonna go to boxes, butterflies,
Yeah.
and your authentic self.
Yeah.
And how can you be it's you wanna take it one step further, it's like, if that's what's on the box is fragile,
Yeah.
then how can you be your authentic self if you know that you're not fragile, but everybody else is telling you or
Mhm.
acts like you are?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So it really, I mean, yes, I see the gift and I see the fragility of life, of course, because it's a transition, right? I mean, but yeah, it doesn't mean that you can't be sliding into home and saying, man, what a ride. Right? And all dusted up and scraped up. But because you really do have to live it, right? And I think maybe that's why I'm gonna maybe I'll do a little bit more research on that, the Japanese art of, the broken bowls, and they mend them together with gold, right? I can't remember
Right.
what it's called, but,
I do
it's
remember something about
but I
that.
think it kind of speaks to that, right? That, yes, it can be fragile, but it can be fixed, and it
Mhm.
can be stronger as a result of that.
Exactly.
So,
So when
yeah,
when you start working with people,
yeah.
um, you start working with women, what kind of programs do you start working with?
The signature program, or the big one, is Thinking into Results, and that is Proctor Gallagher's program, and that one is absolutely phenomenal. That has been game changing for me. That's the one I started with, and I incorporate that. That is marbled through anything and everything that I do, that I talk about, any workshop that I do, because it really is. And Bob Proctor always said it. He wasn't saying anything new. He was just he was just really piecing together stuff that he had learned. And he was just so eloquent and so brilliant in the way that he could connect the dots for us. So those are the things. So it is Thinking into Results, but I'm also right now putting the finishing touches on a digital course that will be available probably in the next week, called Burnout to Badass, and that is pretty much my story, what wasn't working for me, what did work for me, and putting those pieces together. So it'll be available online. Um, and I'm saying people because I'm not saying it's not just for women. This is anybody that is looking to try and get a fix on what better habits can they adopt to
Right.
make their lives better, because we just wind up going around in circles. Because the thing is, I think we as humans always want to swing for the fences when we're looking for big changes. We never think of the base hits. We never think of the consistency of the base hits. Just get on base. Just get on base. Get on base. That's it. Because
I
before
agree.
you know it, you will have scored X number of runs, as opposed to, I mean, Babe Ruth had what? I can't even remember what the stats were, but yeah, he was the home run king, but he also had about 3 times as many strikeouts.
Exactly. He was he was very good at striking out,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the problem
And it
was
nothing
when he
wrong.
connected,
Yeah. Oh, it was gone. I mean, the cover was off of it, but right?
Gabe is kind of a sore point for me because 'cause I'm a Red Sox fan, so
Oh, sorry.
no,
Sorry, I
no,
only
no,
meant
no,
somebody else.
just teasing on that
It is
um,
for any of
because he was one
the
of those first awesome two-way
yeah.
players when he
Yes.
started. He was an awesome pitcher and
Exactly, that's a
hitter,
rarity.
and then once he hit the point where it's like,
Mhm.
"Just take the hits,"
Yeah,
um,
yeah,
it was
exactly.
probably easier on his body just to swing the bat a few times and instead of throwing all those pitchers, but he
But
did well.
nothing wrong with swinging for the fences, absolutely, sometimes that's what's necessary, right? I mean, we were talking about just learning StreamYard and that kind of thing, and doing this sort of thing. This is where we gotta be swinging for the fences, because you gotta go, "Okay, doing it. We're
Well,
doing it."
but and then, I think it was either last night or this morning, CJ, Constance Leland,
Yeah,
she was talking about this in terms of everybody celebrating the big wins, the
right.
big stuff, but we should be celebrating the small wins as well
Mm,
because we can't get to those big wins
mhm,
without a number of small ones. You
mhm.
don't get a run without it's rare to have your runs scored by that one hit.
Exactly.
Normally, a number of hits or even a walk. So
Yeah,
there's at least 4 plus pitches
yep,
before you even get to the first base.
right?
So if we kind of keep it on that, it's
Yeah,
there's so much to that of we need to look at those hits. We need to look at those short wins
yeah,
because without them,
mhm.
we're not as likely to get the big ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And for me, the way that I kind of do um those celebratory little wins, right? Because when I'm in full gratitude, when I do my morning journal,
Mhm.
when I'm feeling in full gratitude and I'm spending at least 10 minutes, I can write 3 things that I'm grateful for, but I'm writing and really digging into each point and why I'm so
Right.
grateful for it and everything else. However, on those days where I've woken up on the wrong side of the bed, as it were, then I write 10 things, because then let me tell you, the first 5 are like, I'm grateful for my coffee. I'm grateful for water. I'm grateful for sunny out. Yeah, sunny out. You know, right? I mean, because I
Grateful
have
for
to go for 10
breathing.
on days like that. I got to go for 10, because by the time I get to number 5, number 6, number 7, all right, now the paragraphs are getting a little pithier, right? There's a little bit more meat to them. Then
Right.
it does such a huge difference in celebrating those small wins. You're shifting your energy, and that's where that vibration thing happens, right? You're raising your vibration, you're shifting your energy, you're bringing in more of what you're grateful for. But yeah, and that's how I look at those as base hits.
Yeah,
Mm,
and we need those to make it to the next point.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So with that, as you're getting ready for the conference,
Mhm.
how are you finding this process for this summit? Have you done summits before?
I have been involved in workshops and these types, but in the background, not as a featured speaker. So it's very different for me in terms of, oh, out front. I feel like this hand is in my back. Like, just kind of, okay, off you go. Oh,
Well,
okay.
yeah, Tracy's very good at putting the hand in our back and
She-
boy,
but you know what? I'm loving it, because that's one of those that, yeah, we're swinging for the fences on this one for sure. But at the same time, there are so many base hits throughout the process. And I'm discovering stuff about myself that in keeping myself in check, because even though we are all featured speakers, we're not there for ourselves. We're there for the message. We're
exactly.
there to support and we're there to serve. And so it's a fine line, right? Of keeping myself in check and in gratitude and in service without getting too full of myself, if you know what I mean.
Well, yeah,
You know,
and
you know
it's definitely going to be a filled
oh,
3 days next
oh,
week.
oh, the stuff that is gonna be coming out of that, I am my mind is blown. This has really
And we haven't even
been an
started.
amazing. I know, I know. My mind is blown. Seriously, it's going to be such an amazing 3 days because of the depth and breadth of experience that is on the virtual stage is phenomenal. This is one of these that, if you didn't know any of these women before, you will definitely be seeing way more of them after
Mhm.
this summit, just because of the collective, the collective knowledge, the collective wisdom. It's just phenomenal. I'm really, really excited. My spidey sense is tingling on this one for sure.
Well, yeah, and it's like I've got 2 of them to deal with, so this is
Wow. Wow. And what's your experience? How are you finding it?
well, this has definitely been more in-depth than the other ones that I've been at, 'cause
Awesome.
other ones, it's a presentation and there's some ramp up to it, but here, she pulled out all the stops with all the
Honestly.
graphics that she's brought in, the fact that we're meeting every other week and until this month, and then it's weekly,
Mm,
because it's like we at
yeah.
this time tomorrow, we will be together
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh, and the training that we're getting from as a result of this. This is
It's
we're being we're so well taken care of. I'm
it's
so grateful. So
it's
grateful.
the training we're getting, and it's the stuff that we're producing
Yeah.
for these summits,
Yeah.
because it's I've got my first, um, PDF giveaway, ebook giveaway, which is a little bit of a workbook, and to work through going from to ignite
Yeah.
awareness, because
That's the
it's
one
so
we saw, right?
did
That's
that
the one
one.
we
That's the one
saw?
that you guys
Yeah.
saw.
Oh
So
my god.
it's
Whoever's
and
listening,
see,
wait till you see this. It's amazing.
but
So
I'm
cool.
I'm gonna post, and I might even do it tomorrow. The thing about this is I've got it now. It's ready to go.
Mm,
But the only people that have a chance at it over the next month, they got to be in those summits to get it.
that's right. That's
It's
right.
not going to be available until sometime after the last of the summits.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, if that's not incentive, I don't know what is. Seriously.
And and then what it just the workshops that are getting created, because I know everybody's creating different things, whether it's a training, whether it's a workshop,
Mhm.
to basically lift up the women that are there.
Yeah. It is a pretty cool thing, isn't it? Women locking arms and really embodying the spirit of collaboration and
Mhm.
eradicating competition. This is just lock arms. That's it. We're all on the same team.
And that's it.
It's
There's
beautiful.
too much time spent
Hmm.
on the competition,
Hmm.
when it's like I put it in my post, and somebody actually called me today. She called me to talk about how much she loved the post that I'd done today, and
Oh,
in it, I talked about how, I mean, these summits are designed for women support women
yeah,
and work together and build something that is just so much more. And that's what's happening with this summit that's going to happen next week.
yeah, yeah.
And the topics that are going to be talked about, that are coming from so many different directions.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, from money to daily habits to fear to grief to you name it. It's just like I said, the depth and breadth of wisdom coming
And
to the table.
the stories of all these individual women, because just their stories alone is a big deal.
Yeah.
And you look at your story and what it took to get where you are now, you went through a lot.
Mhm.
And then you multiply that by 20,
Mm,
because you're going to,
right?
okay, 20 women that are there that have equally
Yeah.
important stories,
Yeah.
and what they're going to get out of it and what they're doing, because they're doing things. This is the type of conference where every participant is going to be able to resonate with at least a handful of women there.
Absolutely.
It's not going to be one of those where you listen to everybody and it's like, well, that was nice.
Yeah. Yeah,
This,
for sure.
like,
I think
dang,
we
I
should we
want to
should
go to work.
probably give the nuts and bolts of it. Yeah, yeah, exactly. We should probably give the nuts and bolts of it too, right? Is that the summit itself is free. It's going on September 27th, 28th, 29th. It is free, but for $97. I mean, that's like, a really decent pedicure, manicure, whatever. $97. The upgrade gets you all of the recordings, the workshop trainings, the time with the trainer to ask your questions, your burning questions about their topic. That just that alone is times, is absolutely
Exactly.
worth the price of admission. And what's even more beautiful is that 80% of the proceeds are going to Free Them, which is an organization that is dedicated to eradicating human trafficking here and abroad.
Right.
And so that
Well,
every
and
every every aspect of this summit has uh, a glimmer of beauty that is just indescribable.
that's what I love about these 2 summits that I'm involved with, this one and the next one. They both have a nonprofit that's where they want money to go to. They wanna
Fabulous.
support, and these are important topics.
Mm.
I I saw some of the stuff that was being discussed about this organization and human trafficking, and just in Canada alone, how much is actually going on
Isn't that
because we never
insane?
hear
I
about
know.
it,
It Yeah, yeah.
and
It's actually a little disturbing to Mhm.
it needs to stop.
Yeah.
There's just there's no reason for it anymore.
Wow.
I mean, it's part of history. Yes, I get that, but it's up to us to change. You would
Yeah,
get to a certain point,
yeah.
we need to just say, okay, yes, that was the past.
Mhm.
That's not our values. We're done with this.
Exactly. And I think it takes a summit like this of these powerful women locking arms and saying, "Yeah, watch this. Here's what's gonna happen now. Here's how this is gonna
I,
shake down."
oh, I like that. It's like, get out of her damn way, Summit. Watch
Yeah,
this.
watch this. Yeah.
That's the subtitle. We need to tell Tracy we've got her subtitle
That's it. That'll be part 2. Watch this.
because that's
Oh my
exactly what
god.
it is.
Yeah. 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 It's gonna be super powerful. There's no doubt about it. I'm super excited and honored really to be sharing the stage with you and all of these other women that are just wow. This it was a
Well,
little humbling initially, actually, I gotta say.
well,
Reading everybody's bios and going, I don't know what I'm doing here, but okay.
I have a feeling we all do the same thing. We're all
Probably.
doing reading everybody else's bio and going, "So how do I fit here again?"
Yeah, but we all do, and it's a beautiful puzzle. It's lovely. Yeah.
Well, it's been fun for me because over the past this is the 3rd week, and I've had now Tracy, Sandra, you, and Margaret's tomorrow. So 4 of you in in less than 3 weeks. It's become Canada month for me. And if we wanna take it even deeper, it's become Ontario month for me.
To boot, it's even getting more focused.
I mean, going through the vision board program with
Yeah.
you guys, because I was the only foreigner in the group. I mean,
Oh my
yes,
gosh,
I know
it's
it
funny.
doesn't sound funny to me because I grew up having CBC as one of my 3 television choices.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that the accents, they don't really it's like it's cute, but but to sit there and to listen when all of you started talking, and I just
Oh
sit there and
god.
listen to all the aboots and the
What
ehs
are you
and
about? What are you talking about? Eh? What you talking about, eh?
and suddenly it's like, "Oh, crap, I wanna go watch The Great White North again."
No kidding, and the CBC
It's
in the
time for
background, CBC1 in the background.
Bob and Doug McKenzie to come out of the backdrop.
But never once did I call anybody a hoser. I just wanna come clean. I never called anybody in our
No,
group
no, I
a
think they're
hoser.
the only ones that can do that. They're the only ones that can get away with that.
Indeed. Oh my
And
gosh,
the
but
funny
we
thing is,
digress.
well, we digress. Yes, I know. And if I have YouTube on the TV for some reason, a lot of Bob and Doug McKenzie
Oh my god,
snippets keep popping up. It's like,
that's
oh,
hilarious. Oh my
back
goodness.
when they could smoke at the time, and
Yep. Oh my goodness. Wow, you are spending a lot of time with Canadians.
Well, I mean, let's face it, I grew up in the '70s, so
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I'm hearing this. It's just a part of life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That that and watching B-52s fly overhead, but that's
That
different.
was another story, yeah. Indeed. Oh, well,
But
all right. Well, I
as
think
we kinda get towards the end, there's about 5 minutes left. I would love for you to kinda give any parting words that you have or advice, anything that you feel like maybe we missed, and definitely to make sure everybody knows how to get a hold of you, where to find you, how to reach you.
okay. Well, LinkedIn, Carole Filion, you will the link is actually in your post. So on LinkedIn, you can get a hold of me there. I'm on Instagram as well. It's Carole J Filion. So that's Carole with an E. J for Jacqueline, if you must know, and Filion, one L. I am not related to Nathan Fillion. So it is one L, not two. And as well as on Facebook, Carol with an E, Filion, Filion. And yeah, but get a hold of me through social. That's the best way to connect with me.
A very French name, it sounds like.
The Filion, wait, yes, actually, French was my mother tongue. So, and if I
Was
have
it?
any parting words, then it would be this. It was the parting words that I left on the Happy Healthy Women live this morning, and that is take out the good china, use it on a weekday, pour your water in the best crystal you have, use it. Just use it. Because even a stone is precious, but this baby cuts glass. So don't underestimate it.
I love it.
And that's it.
It's amazing, and I did put in the comments for this post where the live is going through, I do have the link to sign up, register for the summit.
Oh, cool.
So
Excellent.
it's in there too. Oh, there's my
Good.
sis.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
There she is. I just spotted that. That's awesome.
Yeah, that would be CJ. So
Fantastic.
I
I
can't.
CJ heard so much about you. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, CJ, Nick, and Christine. It's like those three
I feel
know
like I
about
know.
everything, and then Sam is right up there too. So
Awesome. Awesome. It was lovely to meet them through this. This is fantastic. Well, thank you so, so much. Susanna, I
uh,
love it. This was great.
it was great having you here, and I just like how the conversations go wherever they're
I
going to
know.
go.
Isn't it great? Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, the fun part is CJ can't wait for the summit, and the best part is I can sit here and wonder which one is she talking about,
Ah.
or is she talking about both of them?
Well, I'll let you sort that out.
Because
All
she's the
right.
one that's putting on the second one. So yeah,
Awesome. Yeah. Very cool. Well, this was lovely. Thanks
yeah,
again. I
it
really
was
appreciate it.
it was great, and yeah, we're just under an hour, but if oh yeah, CJ's got both summits, so yeah, it's the beauty of it is these lives. I can say it. It's her fault. It's
Okay.
CJ's fault.
You got that, CJ, right?
She knows. She knows if there's anybody, if you ever needed a best friend who really knows how to give you that loving push,
Amazing. Amazing.
this is her. I mean, just she'll say it too. It's like, don't tell me you've got extra time and are looking for a project because she will fill your plate and then some.
That's too funny. I love
And,
it. I
and
like
it's
your style,
beautiful how she
CJ.
does that. It really is.
Terrific.
So
All right. Well, I do have something right now that I have to scoot to, but I again so deeply, deeply grateful for the time that we spent together, Susanna. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, I'm just glad you were able to be here, Carol, and to be able
Thrilled.
to give people an idea as to who you are and to see your personality.
Awesome.
That
Cool.
is, quite frankly, I think people connect better when they see what somebody's really like. When they see that personality,
I think
they
you're
get
right.
that taste. And so that's the other thing I love about these is, quite frankly, everybody from Canada right now is the same. It's like bubbly, amazing, exciting. And I know tomorrow will be the
It's the
same. But
goal.
now I'm gonna go ahead and close it out and just say
Okay.
thanks everybody for being here. It was great seeing everybody, the way the comments, the awesome comments and the interaction today was just phenomenal. And with that, I'm gonna go ahead and call it good, say goodbye, and we're gonna end. Take
Thanks again.
care.
Thanks again. Bye, everybody.